Pay attention.
Imagine holding your brand new baby. The awe and joy of that moment, all you can think of are the wonderful possibilities of their future. And then, 7 years later, you're looking into the screaming, crying face of a 7-year-old who tells you that he just wants to die. What would you do? I have 3 degrees in psychology, am a professor and a researcher, and I felt helpless. I knew I had to look for answers. His life depended on it. In 2005, I gave birth to our son. He was a happy, healthy, easygoing baby. He became a curious infant who developed into a fun and inquisitive toddler. He was full of life and he loved everyone. By the time he was 3, he was energetic, enthusiastic, and into everything. Our nickname for him was our crazed lunatic monkey. We thought that's just who he was, constantly on the go, into everything and all over the place. His self-esteem was fantastic, and he had a ton of confidence. He was so excited to go to school. During the second week of kindergarten, his teacher pulled me aside and suggested that he had ADHD. I was shocked. His preschool never said anything like that. I mean, yes, he was interested in a lot of things, and yes, he was enthusiastic. But ADHD? And why did it seem like he only had ADHD on some days? His doctor disagreed. He said, he's just a very bright boy. And I'm grateful that his doctor did not try to medicate him. In 2nd grade, he started having problems. He had a hard time concentrating. One day I looked at him and said, do your best to focus. And he said, I can't concentrate, Mom. My brain buzzes. Brain buzzes? I have a PhD in cognitive neuroscience. If I learned anything in college, it's that brains are not supposed to buzz. So I started looking for answers. I searched the textbooks, scientific research articles, and I scoured the internet. And I found articles on the artificial food dye Red 40 and how it caused hyperactivity in some children. I found story after story about how Red 40 caused ADHD-like symptoms in some kids. It made them hyper, impulsive, disruptive in class, and caused brain buzzing. So I thought, aha, it's the Red 40. And we pulled everything with Red 40 in it from our diet. And the brain buzzing stopped. But we let him consume other foods with other artificial dyes like yellow 5 and 6, green 3, blue 1. In hindsight, I don't know why we thought those were safe when Red 40 wasn't. Maybe we couldn't imagine pulling everything with artificial food dyes from our home and our diet. That meant no more colored cupcakes, no more cheesy yellow chips, no pickles, no candies, no colored breakfast cereals. You see, artificial food dyes are in many of the foods, of the processed foods that we eat. Maybe we just couldn't imagine taking away foods that kids enjoy in their childhood. Now, I bet many of you are wondering, what are artificial food dyes? Well, they are a set of chemicals that are added to our food to enhance the color and appearance. They are man-made, petroleum-based, and banned in many countries. They provide no nutritional value, and many have been linked to cancer. And now I know, many of you are thinking, oh, then why are they in our food? Well, because we Americans, we like our brightly colored, shiny stuff, and this includes our food. So now that he wasn't eating red things, he turned to yellow things. Cheesy yellow chips, yellow candies, pineapple syrup on shaved ice in Hawaii. You name it, if it was yellow, it was okay. Then, 7 months after the removal of Red 40, we have a new problem. He's having emotional meltdowns and temper tantrums, the likes of which I had never seen. He would get upset over the littlest things. These temper tantrums turned into, they got more intense and more frequent. I'd ask him to turn off the TV, and he would break down and cry. And the crying would turn into anger, and this anger would turn into a full-blown emotional fit. He would scratch at himself. He would shred at his clothes. He would swing on me. He would scream. And eventually it would lead to him begging, Mom, just get me a knife so I can kill myself. I just want to die. And all I can think of was if this continued, By the time he hit puberty, we would lose him. We were wondering what was happening to our sweet boy. So I searched the textbooks, the articles, the internet. I searched and searched. And I found one article on yellow 5 and how it caused irritation in kids. I found more articles and anecdotal evidence of other dyes like yellow 5 and 6 causing emotional disruptions in children. So we thought, all right, that's it. No more artificially colored food, no cheesy yellow chips, no artificial colored drinks, breakfast cereals. If it was naturally colored, it was okay. And we started living our life dye-free. And I was not ready for what happened next. That poor kid crashed like an addict coming off of drugs. He slept a lot. He would get up in the morning and he'd go lay back down on.
I mean, it's not just the food, but everyday items, which are going from organic to artificial. And it's slowly and slowly killing us. But nonetheless, they should ban artificial dyes in the food. That's the ultimate killer.
What made the dinosaurs go extinct? Do you realize they're asking the wrong question? The question is not what made them go extinct. The question is, did they go extinct? People say, come on, now dinosaurs aren't in the Bible. Well, of course the word's not in there. They didn't make up the word till 1841. The word computer's not in there either, but there really are computers, okay? Now, they didn't call them dinosaur, though. They called them dragon. See, the word dinosaur wasn't made up till 1841. So for most of human history, these creatures are called dragons. Did you know dinosaur is not even in the dictionary in 1891? For most of human history, they were known as dragons. Now, dragons are mentioned in the Bible 34 times. Dragons are listed in the dictionary in 1946 as now rare. As the population of people began to grow after the flood, the population of dragons began to go down. Because nobody wants to live next door to a dragon. People kill dragons for meat because they were a menace, to prove you're a hero, to prove you're superior, competition for land, or for medicinal purposes. Many ancient recipes call for dragon blood, dragon bones, dragon saliva. Why? Gilgamesh is famous for slaying a dragon. A Chinese legend tells about a guy named Yu that surveyed the land of China. It says after the flood, he surveyed the land and divided it into sections. He built channels to drain the water off to the sea and make the land livable again. Many snakes and dragons were driven from the marshlands. Yeah, that's just normal. If you want to build a city, you got to, drive off the dragons and then build your city. Why would the Chinese calendar have 11 real animals, the pig, the duck, the dog, and a dragon? Why would they put a mythical animal in there? Could it be that at the time they came up with these 12 symbols, there were 12 real animals? Here's one of the oldest pieces of pottery on planet Earth. It's a piece of slate from Egypt, first dynasty of United Egypt. It shows long-necked dragons.
The dragons are in most cultures and the old folklores. They inhabited Earth at one point, so this guy has a point.
Michael Jackson is still alive. Michael Jackson has always struggled with living a normal life due to his fame. He openly admitted that he always felt alone, as no one ever really understood him and always wanted something out of him. So when he passed away, many people started speculating if he actually faked his death. Well, just after Michael's passing, a man called Dave shows up, claiming that they were close friends. However, people are saying that he is in fact Michael Jackson with a reconstructed face. And this clip shows why.
I remember sitting down, and at the time, my favorite video game was Pole Position. And I was playing Pole Position, and I...
Listen and look at the way Dave speaks and acts. Does it remind you of anyone?
And there was Michael.
So, could Dave actually be Michael Jackson, trying to live a normal life? And is it possible that...
I mean, if he really was Michael Jackson, then why would he blow his cover up? Coming to a live TV show? It doesn't make any sense.
I want y'all to know how this Earth used to be and how it's going to be pretty soon. Yeah, we doing it, exposing Avatar. Because it definitely was a documentary on how this planet actually used to be and the people. In this land, they found so many new organisms, beings, trees, all types of advanced psychological things happening on this planet. Mainly because they wanted to colonize and obtain resources that would make them rich. Sound familiar? In the movie, there were these beings called the Na'vi people. Their bodies were so advanced and connected to the earth. And they seemed to have dressed to African clothing. Now, the Na'vi people were very, very tall. And so was nature, all the trees, everything was literally lit. There's the same thing about giants on Earth, 8 to 10 feet people living and walking around in the past. Taller than the regular humans. Because who was these steps for? I'm not just making this up. Also in the movie, there were big, tall, giant trees. You know, on Earth, the mountains that look like they cut off trees. Now in this movie, they was willing to do whatever, knocking down sacred trees, doing all types of things that hurt the planet and the Earth and everything that was connected to it. Sound familiar? Now all around the planet, there are these tall people on the walls, and they call them gods and giants and all types of things. What if all of these advanced beings who are called gods in different religions were just highly advanced beings in the past? And in the past, these people who are seeing them call them gods. I mean, who knows what our DNA is capable of? So these humans want what these highly intelligent beings have. So they invaded and took advantage of the peace that we had. AKA Native Americans, Africans, Egyptians, all that. Same thing that they did to the Navi people in the movie. So much bad, sad, negative things happening on this planet to where it can't even be its full potential because it's trying to clean itself up. Prime example, while we're alive, we take so much resources from the earth. And then when we die, we put ourselves in coffins, unaccessed to the earth or the soil. In the movie Avatar, they literally bury their bodies to give back to the earth, but we don't even do that. Let's really try to understand what this movie meant and what we're capable of. Always stay dangerous.
Or maybe it's just a movie.
An acquaintance that's gonna go to jail because of what they said on an Alexa.
Oh no.
Do not believe nothing. I wouldn't put a fucking Alexa in my house if you paid me. When I walk into people's houses and I see an Alexa, I make a mental note to shut the fuck up. You know those people, Alexa, play Led Zeppelin. Alexa, I fucking hate you. I will never talk to fucking Alexa. But they're gonna go to jail because something happened in their house, like a fight.
Oh.
And they actually called the cops through Alexa. And
Oh my god.
oh, so if you have an Alexa in your house,
Oh my god.
take it out right now. You could play the music by yourself, you dumb fucks.
In 2010, Eric Lewis disappeared off the side of a mountain during a hiking trip with 2 of his friends. Eric and his friends were hiking Mount Rainier. As they were climbing, the lead climber would take a rest every so often, and the 2 would catch up. They'd all rest together, and then they'd start moving up again. It's important to note that it had just snowed the night before, so they could see all of their footprints. And it's important to remember that they were all tethered together on one line. At one of the stops, Eric doesn't show. They pull up his line, and it's slack. It's been cut. They descend the mountain. They don't find any footprints except the footprints leading up the mountain. So Eric doesn't seem to have walked back down the mountain. They go to report it to the authorities. They start searching, and they still find no footprints coming down the mountain. What they do find is Eric's gear in an icy cave about 200 feet from the trail they were on. There are no footprints leading to the cave, there are no footprints leading away from the cave, and Eric's body is not in the cave. It has been 11 years and Eric's body has not been found. There is no trace of Eric Lewis. There is no explanation for how his gear got in the cave. Eric simply disappeared off the side of a mountain without anybody hearing it or seeing it. How is that possible unless something took him?
In Romania, there's a forest that they call the Bermuda Triangle of Romania.
Of Romania?
Yeah.
Word.
So everyone that goes in there either gets lost or missing. So there was a farmer with 200 sheep that got missing. And there was a little kid, right, that went missing for 3 years.
Yeah.
Came out, was the same age.
Oh, what the hell?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
When they finally found her, she was the same age. And like you can go on the site, there's a warning. Like you can't go in there. They warn travelers because there's a person looking at you, or they feel like they get super anxious, and it's like someone the whole time is looking at you.
Okay, that could be 2 things. It could be either a witch that has spells and shit, you look young, or it could be like the fountain of youth and a demon that guards it.
Okay, so there is a person which stares at you. So they won't get rid of that person, but apparently they would put a caution sign there. Yep, truly believable.
I took this out of video before the government took my water-powered car.
Running on water. So this is the water tank. This holds 7.5 gallons of water. It recycles the water. So basically, as long as you keep this filled, it will continue running. This is your pump. This is the out of the tank into the pump to feed it to the front of the car through this. This is the return line. This is the drain. So with this line, if we follow this, it runs down underneath the car. Goes through the heat exchanger, which is under here, which cools the water so that it runs better. Comes up from this line and into the top of the motor. This I can't talk about too much because this is where everything happens, but it dumps into here, and that is what makes the car run on the water. The recycled water that isn't used runs through this line, which parallels the other line that was down here, runs back up and into here. So it's a big loop, continues looping, and that's how we get this thing to work. Got some antifreeze in there because it was cold outside and I wanted to make sure that it didn't freeze.
Okay, so you might have seen this. That there's this guy who made a car running on water and then government took him. Actually, it's not true. It's all just conspiracies and rumors. Why? Let me tell you that. The power and resources it'll take to separate the oxygen molecules from the hydrogen molecules in the water, that's insane. I mean, it's not possible, but let's say if it were possible, that would take you huge resources, even more than the whole of the car.
No cat, this is probably the craziest shit I seen on Google Earth, TikTok. I ain't find it, so don't come for me. So if you go just north of Los Angeles, California, I don't know what the hell this thing is, but if you zoom in, it looks like a portal to another dimension. If you zoom in even closer, man, it looks like there's a portal right in the front entrance of it. But what makes it even crazier, man, look at this. You zoom over here, bro, it's fucking all tanks in the area. Like, what y'all need all these tanks for, yo? Tell me it's not trying to hide something. Why you got all these military tanks guarding something like this? Here's what I need y'all to do, man. Anybody that live in Los Angeles or even Ridgecrest, California, that's what it's closest to. You know what I mean? Go check this out, man. Us TikTokers need to know what the hell going on. Look, Ridgecrest right here. It's probably only a few.
Well, how do you know it's a portal? Have you ever visited that place? No.
This is Grant Solomon, and this is his mom standing at the spot where his body was found. And this is his sister Gracie.
Even 3 years later, I still believe that my dad killed my brother, abused my mom, and I know me.
He was 18 years old, and when I tell you the story of what happened to him, his mother, and his sister, it will haunt you forever. Here's Grant's 360, the last spot where his phone pinged. That morning, he and his dad had a meeting. This is the ditch where he was found. His truck was on top of him. This is where things get very confusing. Listen to the 911 call his dad made.
My son's truck backed over him, and it's rolled over him and dragged him into the ditch, and it's on top of it.
His father claims that Grant's truck dragged him into this ditch. He tells another story where the truck drives itself forward into the ditch, which would defy gravity. Now remember the last spot where his phone pinged? It was here, not up there. Here, not there. Grant didn't have a single scratch on him, just blunt force trauma to the back of his head. So if he was dragged on concrete into a ditch, then why wasn't there a single scratch on his body? When Grant's mom, Angie, was at the hospital and she saw Grant's dad, he looked at her with a smirk and said, "We're gonna be a family now." She tells me that he chose no autopsy and no forensics to be done on the car, and later she found that one of his baseball bats was missing.
Dad is super manipulative. I even remember taking a bath as a young kid and him washing me with a Dove bar of soap completely up and inside of my privates.
Gracie started sharing her story to the world at the age of 13 years old. This next story is very disturbing. Gracie and her father went to see Grant at his baseball tournament, and this is what happened.
I woke up to feeling something really hard on my...
When Gracie told Grant what their dad did to her, he couldn't take it anymore. He was sick of the years of abuse, so he decided to confide in the priest at his school. He was also turning 18 and wanted full custody of his little sister to protect her from their father. But before he could carry through with this, he mysteriously passes away in this ditch, and the only witness is his father. Also, his dad and the priest were good friends. Listen to what the priest of his school said at his memorial service.
Listen, you just never get a ninth grader making an appointment with you to talk about Jesus. And Grant did inside my office for well over an hour. And just wanted to know how he could draw closer to Christ.
When he said this, Angie, Gracie, and Grant's girlfriend Hannah were in complete shock because they knew that Grant went to see the priest to talk to him about the abuse and ask for help, not to become closer to Christ. Angie has preserved Grant's truck and kept it in hiding. She shows me blood splatter that is under the truck, but she shows me splatter that is actually above the driver's seat.
Everything that could be investigated on this vehicle has already been investigated by a forensics team that testify in homicide murder trial.
So if Grant was dragged under his truck, then how did blood splatter get on the top?
He shouldn't be in there. Sometimes I just want him to go home.
Meet Hannah, Grant's girlfriend. She shares her thoughts on what she thinks happened to him.
What I think happened on July 20th, 2020 was that Grant was murdered and that there was some sort of malicious intent and foul play done by his father.
2 of Grant's friends were sued by his father for speaking up. Grant's best friend, Wynn, was sued.
Everyone should remember him as a brother to everybody and everyone's best friend, because that's what he was.
This is Anna. She was also sued by his father for speaking out.
And then he told me that his dad abused him, his mom, his sister, and he touches my sister. Like, if someone asks you about it, like, act like you don't know because my dad is very dangerous.
She got this tattoo on her arm, and Hannah even got a tattoo as well.
Usually would add, I love you times infinity. And so I have that. I got that tattooed behind my ear. So he's with me.
Just weeks after Grant passed away, his favorite dog, Babs, died of a broken heart. It has been 3 years and still no investigation has been opened.
I mean, how's the dad getting away with all of this? It's shocking.